Kegels, while they can be helpful and they can definitely play a part into the rehab process of strengthening after a surgery such as a hysterectomy, we also need to take into account the bigger picture of the full body.
How do I strengthen my pelvic floor after a recent hysterectomy?
So, I think the first thing that we should discuss is that the pelvic floor is a part of a system. It's part of a greater system that works with our core, works with our diaphragm, and also works with our spine muscles. And these make a canister, a core canister. And so when we think about strengthening the pelvic floor, yes, it can mean Kegels. That can be part of the equation, but it's not necessarily the whole answer because Kegels, while they can be helpful and they can definitely play a part into the rehab process of strengthening after a surgery such as a hysterectomy, we also need to take into account the bigger picture of the full body. So, oftentimes, exercises such as lateral lunges, squats can be a great way to help support the pelvic floor. Also, bird dogs are another great core exercises that involve your pelvic floor. If you're familiar with bridges, which is where you're just laying flat on your back and then you lift your hips up into the air, that's another excellent way to turn on your core muscles through your glutes, and your pelvic floor will follow that as well. So all of that to say that there's many ways that we can strengthen the pelvic floor after a hysterectomy. I would say focusing on good pressure management. So in other words, not letting too much pressure build up into your system. So you can do that by exhaling when you're exercising or exhaling when you're lifting up something heavy, trying to strengthen your core with exercises that are appropriate for you. So they're challenging, but they're not overdoing it on your system. And then really strengthening through your leg muscles, through your hip muscles, and also, honestly, even through your arms. Because the thing is that when we're lifting or carrying something, especially if we're pushing something overhead or we're putting something above us, that pressure, it's got to go somewhere, right? That force transfer is going to come down. And sometimes I think of it as the pelvis is almost the symptoms can show up there. In other words, like symptoms like leakage or pelvic pressure or heaviness. So if our arms and our upper body are strong, we can help take pressure off of our pelvic floor. And that's almost like an indirect way that we can help support and strengthen our pelvic floors.